All right, well, the exchange rate unit starts right off with a diagram. And oftentimes I have found as a teacher of IB economics, like that is the best place to start, because if you have an image in your head, and diagrams are images right from the get-go, then you can kind of start understanding how this whole thing operates, okay? So I'm gonna go slowly in this video because you need to have a thorough understanding of this diagram. But what you're gonna see is that you've already seen this diagram as you've gone through your studies of economics, because you can't get to international economics without having studied microeconomics. And in microeconomics, you have the diagram down in your head, which is the basic supply and demand diagram, okay? So what are the components of the basic supply and demand diagram? Well, if we have a product called product X, it's going to be priced in a currency, in this case, the euro. It's going to have zero at the origin. It's going to have the quantity of product X that's going to be sold in the marketplace. It's going to have a unit. It's going to have a year. It's going to have a demand curve. It's going to have a supply curve. It's going to have a title, the product for market X. And as a result of the intersection of the two supply and demand curves, you're going to have an equilibrium of P1, Q1. Now, if you've been enrolled in this course since the beginning of the microeconomic course and the macroeconomic course and now the international economic course, you know that I call this the basic supply and demand diagram, and I also call it the rule of 11. And the reason it's called the rule of 11 is it has 11 components. Imagine that, teach. Yeah, well, what are they? 1, price. 2, currency. 3, P1. 0, 4. Q1, 5. Quantity, 6. Unit, 7. Year, 8. Demand, 9. Supply, 10. And, of course, the title is 11. Okay? So those elements are important so that you know that you have the diagram ready from the get-go. If you screw this up, you're in trouble. All right. So why are we talking about the demand for product X and the supply of product X and the whole supply and demand diagram for market X? Because, as I said in the introduction, a currency is just another good. It's just another product. Okay. So the good could be carrots. It could be dollars. If those carrots are priced in euros, then that would make sense. But what if the dollars are priced in euros? Oh, well, this would also make sense. Okay. So you got to use what you already have in your mind, because economics doesn't really present you with a whole bunch of new relational concepts. It's the continuation of those relational concepts and adding different stories to it that makes economics so cool. Okay, so check out this next slide. So if you take a look, this is the basic demand and supply diagram that I just drew and went through with you. Okay. Well, if you switch this over, yeah, to the market, not for product X, but the market for dollars in euros, if it were the market for carrots, it would be the market for carrots in what? Euros. Wow, that's kind of cool. Yeah, so if this were the market for carrots, this would be the price of carrots in what? Euros, just like we went through in the last diagram. Wow, yeah. And what would be the quantity? Well, it would be the quantity of carrots. But now we're not talking about carrots, we're talking about dollars. So the market for dollars, this is the price of dollars, this is the quantity of dollars, and then this is going to be the demand for what? Dollars. Huh, where though? Well, because we're talking about euros, it's going to be the demand for euros in Europe, okay? And you need to have that there. But if this were carrots, it would be the same thing. The demand for carrots in euros. You could put that on a regular demand and supply curve. We could write right here, demand of carrots in euros. This is demand of dollars in euros. This is the same thing, okay? And then this is supply, and this is the supply of what? Of dollars. And where do dollars come from? They only come from one place in the whole world, and that's from the United States. I know you can get dollars in practically every country in the world, but in our studies, we need to suspend that reality and just go like, ooh, no, you could only get US dollars in the United States. Okay, so therefore the only suppliers, this is why it's so important, the only suppliers of dollars are people from the United States. Okay, and there it is. Like, that's it. That's it. If you just get your brain around the fact that you are taking a good like carrots and changing the good into some other currency, like the dollar in this case, it makes so much sense, okay? And then you would have a P1 level, which I have 0.80 here on purpose, right? And then you have a Q1 level, okay? So what this says right here is the market is operating for Q1 dollars, right? The market is operating at the price of US dollars and euros. So that's 0.8 euros is how much a dollar costs. Okay? So now we've just established something really important, which is the exchange rate diagram. Okay? And the exchange rate diagram is the beginning of our understanding of every single exchange rate question or situation that we might get. Here's what's really important. It gets confusing, right? You don't get confused between euros and carats because you know euros are the currency. But you have to establish the market. Don't focus on the price. Focus on the market for carats. So when you're dealing with exchange rates, you got to go like, no. What's the market? Oh, I'm buying dollars, just like you bought carats, okay? And then, boom, if you root yourself in the idea you're buying dollars, then everything else falls into place because everything else is going to be just the price of, okay, I'm buying dollars, so it's the market for dollars. It's the price of dollars in euros. It's the quantity of dollars. It's the demand for dollars. It's the supply of dollars. Just like it would be the market for carats, the price of carats, the quantity of carats, demand for carats. Get it? Okay. That's really important. So you just have to establish, and it's hard sometimes because you can get confused on which product, or rather which currency you're buying. Okay? So therefore the market of that currency. Now, here's when things can get a little confusing, okay? Because the exchange rate diagram can be expressed in two ways, okay? So this is the market for US dollars. This is actually the diagram we just looked at, right? Market for US dollars. Okay. So what happened? This is the exact same one, right? We got the price of dollars in euros, we got the quantity of dollars, we got the demand for dollars where in Europe. We have the supply of dollars where? Well, they only come from the United States, so it's from the United States. So there's our base diagram. Okay. Now let's imagine that there's this beautiful little family in Paris who wants to come see Mickey Mouse. They have 2 young children and they've been singing Disney songs their whole life. And they've actually gone to Disney World in France, but now they're going to go to Mickey's home where he came from, and Minnie and Donald and all of the Disney characters. Okay. So what's going to happen? Well, they're going to get on a plane and bring their euros from Paris to Orlando, Florida. When they get off the plane, what are they going to do? They're going to demand dollars. They're going to take their euros out and they're going to say, hey, anybody got any dollars? Of course, they'll just be like some dude probably on his phone, like in the foreign exchange kiosk, bored out of his mind until this family comes with their euros. What's the guy in the kiosk selling? He's selling dollars. What are they demanding? They're demanding dollars. And what are they using? Euros. So the guy in the kiosk is the guy selling carats. The people coming up are buying it with euros, but he's not selling carats, he's selling dollars, okay? So therefore, you could very, 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 very easily draw this diagram if it were carats. And therefore, you can very easily draw this diagram for dollars, okay? So what's going to happen? Well, of course, they're going to say, they're going to reach into their pocket and they're going to pull out what? They're going to pull out, they're going to pull out some money, right, to go buy not carats, but dollars. And these are going to be Chilean pesos, but whatever. So they pull out their euros and they hand their euros and they actually put their euros on the desk. And what do they get in exchange? US dollars. Okay, check that out. There's some euros sitting on the desk, okay? The demand for dollars went outward. Look at the diagram. Went outward. As a result of the demand of anything, right? What's going to happen to the price? It's going to go up. So the price of dollars in euros went from 80 euros, 0.8 euros to 1 euro. What happened to the quantity demanded of dollars in the marketplace? It went from Q1 out here to Q2. There's no Q2 there, but just imagine it, okay? So therefore, as a result of this family in Paris getting on a plane and going to Mickey's ancestral home, Orlando, Florida, which by the way it's not, it's in California, but whatever, in Orlando, Florida, to see the Magic Kingdom and all his friends and MGM Studios and all that, the demand for dollars went up. If the demand for anything goes up, what happens? The price goes up. You get that completely. Okay. And then here's in your studies of exchange rates, you can get super twisted, but you're not going to, because you're going to remember this one thing. Check out what's on the table. Check it, check it, check it. 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Check it. What's that? That's an increase in the supply of euros. That wasn't there before. Now it's there. So what happened to the supply of euros? It increased. Where's the supply? It's out in the international exchange market. But as a result of there being an increase in the supply of available euros, what happened to the value of the euro? It went down. Why? Because they're just floating out there now. They're just sitting on the exchange rate desk. Someone's trying to sell them, right? Someone might want them, might not. So, check out the diagram. So, guess what? You can take that entire experience of a family getting on a plane in Paris and flying to Mickey's ancestral home in Orlando, Florida, and look at it from the other perspective, which is the perspective not for a market of dollars, but for the market for euros. Okay, so what would that diagram look like? It would be the market for euros, and it would be the price of euros in what? US dollars. And because it's the market for euros, look at the euro on the desk, then it would be the quantity of euros. And as a result, you would have the demand for euros, right, from, that should say the United States. The demand for euros from the US. And where do euros come from? They only exist in one place on this planet, and that is in Europe. And therefore, it's a supply of euros where? In Europe. Okay, so now, if I were to tell that whole story again, the parents get off the plane, they go into their pocket, and they buy dollars, how would we represent that in a supply and demand diagram? Well, we would represent that by doing what? Well, if the market value before they bought their dollars, right? Before the increase of supply of dollars was 1.2 what? Euros in dollars. Of course, these are inversely related to one another, right? A euro costs $0.2. So as they pull their money out and they buy the dollars, boom, what happens to the market for euros in dollars? It goes out. The supply of euros on the marketplace expands, increases. That wasn't there before. And anytime anything becomes more available, what happens to the price of it? It goes down. Okay? So, this interaction between that family from France taking their 2 little children to Mickey Mouse can be looked at from 2 different perspectives. Can we look at the perspective of dollars and the demand going up for those dollars? Or it could be looked at from the perspective of euros and the supply of euros going out. But really, you're just looking at the same exact phenomenon in the sense that in terms of the price of dollars and euros, the dollar got more expensive because the dollars got purchased. But at the same time, what happened to the euro? The value of the euro got less expensive, right? Got cheaper because they're more available. Okay? That's a really, really critical thing for you to get in your mind about exchange rates. It's not that hard, okay? It's not that hard, but it takes some abstract thinking, and this gets to the root of why economics is really hard, because you have abstract thoughts and then concrete sequential expressions of abstract thoughts on diagrams, and it can just send your mind into a tizzy. Don't move on in this unit of exchange rates without mastering those concepts and those ideas. And you got to practice and practice drawing those things inversely to one another, okay? And you can do this, and you should always draw these diagrams like side by side, because you'll see, if you look at the original equilibrium point right there, it's analogous to this original equilibrium point here. So if I were to draw this is how you want to draw it. You want to draw extending that right over to that. Okay? And then as a result of the increase in demand, the price of dollars and euros goes up, and in the result of the increase in supply of euros, the price of euros in dollars goes down. Okay? All right, my friends. That isn't easy, but it's not inaccessible. And I hope that you gain some really thorough understanding that really what happens in the exchange market is you have supply and demand principles. It's just that they can be expressed from both perspectives of the currencies involved. All right, my friends, we are rolling on, rolling on.